So yeah, I have a few topics I wanted to ask you about, but just in general, you said you got a lot going on. Your real estate deal is closing. You making $1 million a month still, or how are things going?
It's been good. Yeah, the business is I'll know a lot more today. We got this one client that, very unfortunate. Like it's on the third buyer. It just goes to show you the environment we're in is like no, no buyer is like necessarily solid right now. But the buyer, as long as his divorce decree goes in today, then it's gonna be able to purchase our client's property on Friday. So I'm really hoping that one goes through. It's been hanging out for like 4 months. But yeah, we've got five already um, closings that are scheduled for the month of May. So that's huge. And now we're actively focusing on doing more lead gen and doing like today. I've got actually the next 3 days we have seller meetings with somebody on my team to help close. So if we get these three in, these will be our June, maybe July listings coming up. So it's always like
Yeah, we're waiting for
always
that.
a hunting out there and trying to build that pipeline up.
Eat what you kill. So 2020, because I remember I was wholesaling a little bit, and it was kind of like you could just shoot anywhere and hit a target. Everybody was making money. Fix and flippers were just buying houses if it was a bad deal, and then 6 months later they would still come out okay because the property value went up. And then, I mean, I was one of the people that got kind of weeded out as just like a fly by night, not taking it probably as seriously as I should have.
Yeah.
Didn't necessarily have the systems or the discipline to stay in the business and be profitable, had other things going on, whatever it might be. A lot of those people got weeded out, and it still feels to me, correct me if I'm wrong, that is the way it's gone. People are only the professionals, the best are still in the game right now. Would you say that's the correct?
100%. And even the ones that are doing a lot, used to do a lot, have dialed it back.
Hmm.
It's just because a lot of these properties, the market was our friend, and
Yeah,
being inefficient and not good actually help make more money. And that only lasts for a while. Then we're in the other spot now where it's like you keep you hold on to that house a couple extra months, your profit's gone, just from holding costs. Then the other side is the value goes down. So you guaranteed more out of pocket because assuming you've got financing on it, and the potential for the price to go down. So can really wipe out a lot of people, and it only takes one deal to wipe you out for a lot of these because it's big chunks of money and you're in Seattle, right? So if you're buying a house for 600, putting 200 in, selling it say for a million, hypothetically, it's a good chunk of money, right? That's a year or two of people's income. So
yeah,
you've got to be able to outlast and make sure you get through to the other side.
yeah. So for me, I think I did 10 deals total. 12 if you're counting the ones I did with somebody else.
Uh-huh.
And at the time, it would be like I would spend 500 to $1,000 a month on and um, software and lists and marketing. And then meanwhile, that was also my primary income because I was flight instructing, and I'm not kidding. My paychecks would be like $600 and like $800. Like those were my paychecks as a flight instructor. So basically nothing, but just working to get the hours. And so then you would have a good month. Maybe I would make in Indiana $2,000, $5,000. But I'm also having to pay for my lifestyle, and which wasn't hardly anything. I had two roommates, but if you don't, it's all of a sudden 3 or 4 months goes by and you don't do a deal. I'm like, crap. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like and that was when it was good. I was like, the most probably unqualified. I had the work ethic. I was cold calling like 4 or 5 hours a day. But I mean, I was making money, which says something. I was like 23 or 23 to 20. I forget the exact age I was when I was doing that in Arizona. But anyways, not like the biggest real estate professional, and I was somehow making money. So I can see like that's kind of where I got weeded out, was like I couldn't devote as much time to it. Deals were harder to find, and so I'm gone. Did you feel that shift, and like how did you change your strategy?
Well, first, what most people do is stop the getting into more trouble, if you will. So a lot of the bigger guys, they're always buying, they're always fixing up, they're always selling. So when you start seeing your disposition, the selling on the back end, either slow down or the prices,
Mhm.
you've got to stop the front part. So either you reduce it or you could, in theory, stop it all. So, and it kind of depends on the scale of your business. If you got like, 10 guys that you got to keep busy and they're full time, you might have to keep doing deals. It's just that now you've got to find ways to make more money out of it, or you've got to get lines of credit to get you through the crunch.
Mm.
But I was just looking over here. I had a text thread with a buddy of mine yesterday. He was a
Yeah.
wholesaler and he was going, it took him a while, and then he, like the end of 24, I believe, he really started getting the stride, and he got like 3 deals in like Q4 24. So I hadn't talked to him for a while. I asked him yesterday, well, how's business going? He goes, not good. I don't have the ability to do anything on market as I am unable to pay for any of my dues or fees. I'm basically bankrupt at this point. I'm like, holy crap, what happened? So basically, he ended up merging or joining forces with somebody, and he hasn't done a deal in 11 months. I'm like, holy smokes, 11 months. That's crazy. So like, and he definitely he has a low cost of living. So if you put a normal person on that, no one can go 11 months, right? Yeah,
No.
most people can go a couple months, assuming you got credit cards, line of credit, or whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, so 11 months, he hasn't done a deal. Can you
Are
imagine?
are you still able to hear me right now? I switched my mic up.
Yeah, I can hear
Can
you.
you? Okay. Yeah, I mean, how do you, unless you had a bunch saved up, right? That would be the answer, would be see if he was really responsible and had an 11-month emergency fund.
Yeah, which is super difficult to save up for because you're always, you know, and
Well,
that's the
especially as an entrepreneur, right?
yeah,
Because it's like your cost of living is dependent on how much you're spending on your business, kinda. I mean, you shouldn't directly tie them together, but it's like you eat what you kill, you make a big chunk of money, and then you plan it out. Okay, how long does that last you? How much of that is like marketing and stuff? So it's easy to just like put it all back and live off what you make.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's and you start getting some money in, and then you're like, well, maybe I should get a car. Get that scope creep. That's a very real thing. It's you're never. Um, I don't know the exact stats. The Small Business Administration would have it, but most businesses are out of business in 5 years, like some crazy numbers, like 80%, and
Yeah,
it's
business is
because
hard.
it's not like a job where a job is you're gonna work but it by define you're working there the same job every day, defined income. Now the flip side is you can make a ton of money being an entrepreneur, but you're always having to go out and slay it, get the business. For
Mhm.
on our side, it's like get landing a client and then helping them sell it, or landing a client helping them buy something. So if we're not always getting clients, you know,
Yeah.
then then the cash flow goes down. Now, when we get cash flow goes up, the key is taking that, plugging back into marketing to keep that funnel going, but then starting to stack the rainy day fund. That's where people usually get wiped out. Now, for me, like I don't have as much rainy day fund. Like if I needed to, I could. Yeah, I have a line of credit, or I could sell a property. I could refinance a property. So I
Pretty
run
liquid stuff.
fairly lean because I'm like, let me pump it all in to the business, or let me buy some more rentals. So, but still, it can be very stressful. Because
Yeah,
I
the highs
just,
and lows are so high because
oh yeah,
you're so close to making so much money, and then it just doesn't work out, and it feels like you just lost that amount of money whenever you never had it. But when it's like that's the way you make income, it's not like you're just going to get your next. It would be how it would feel if you just didn't get your second paycheck of the month. You know what I mean? Like,
it's more like, hey, I can't wait till we get the Christmas bonus because I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and then it's like, oh crap, there's no Christmas bonuses. That's literally how it can be. And in the agent world, you may work with something like this guy that we listed the property in end of November, maybe early December, and then multiple buyers fell through, right? So it's like it's a long, long time to payday, and so
yeah,
and a lot of that you have to like. There's a lot of costs that go into it, right? So, like I just paid because on the as an agent you have buyers and you have sellers. The buyers tend to be higher margin because there's not as much cost. On the sell
yeah,
side, you got photography, you've got signage and marketing and online advertising, staging. It's like thousands of dollars, right? Well, we had by design trying to get more listings. And so like I just shelled out like 15K for like a couple like maybe 2 months of staging between different properties. And it's like, okay, now I've got to like get more business, pay that down, So it's like you're always trying to monitor and manage that cash flow coming in.
yeah. It's such a task to do. Then I guess one quick story when I was wholesaling. This is actually the last deal that I didn't do. From here, I never did a deal after this. It was I had a lot in Mount Vernon, Washington, under contract, and I forget the exact numbers, but I was going to make 30 grand on an assignment fee. So I locked it up, got it under contract. It was a guy just living on property in a trailer, and I think it was something like $50,000 that I got it under contract for. And then I went right down the road and found someone that had just developed a mobile home or just put a mobile home on like the exact same lot for like 80 grand or not 90 grand or something like that. And
Yeah.
so I called them up. Would you be interested in this? Yeah, I had the contract assigned, had the earnest money in title, and it was like a 2-week close. Everything was going to be great. Just waiting for that $30,000 check. Meanwhile, I'm making like, not very much. This is like barely barely getting floating me through college. And then a couple days before, I call the seller to make sure he's still around. Sure enough, no answer. Uh, Call him again, and then I call or the title company calls me, and they say that like that day, this is like at the day before closing, he had sold the property to somebody else for like $25,000 because I guess he had already told somebody else he would sell it to them, and he just had a contract with both of us. And they were like, "Yeah, I mean, you could try to get a lawyer or something, but I don't know." And I'm not going to do
Oh,
that at that point. So gone,
dang it.
poof, 30K. Earnest money was in. I was all ready to close, but
Holy smokes. Like they obviously closed with a different title company, whoever
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. They like found it on a search or something, or I don't know how they did that,
Yeah.
but
Dang. And then did you end up knowing who ended up buying that deal?
I think I found the LLC, but I didn't want that smoke. I didn't want to come after him because he probably had under contract first, and I didn't know who it was. It was just an LLC, so
Yeah, that's the hard part about, when you're trying to do wholesaling. I mean, even this is the same thing can happen as an agent, right? We go in there and we're saying, "Hey, we can list it for this price," and then, somebody comes in and, says, "Hey, I'll pay cash for it." Whether they're actually going to sell it or not doesn't necessarily matter. But
yeah.
once they get it under contract, okay, now what you thought was money is now gone.
Yeah, you really count it. Like even though you try and say you're not going to, it's like, man, it seemed pretty likely that I'm gonna have 30K at the end of the week.
Yeah.
But it
The
was
thing is on these, so I had this wholesale deal once. It was a 50K. It was going to be a big rip, right? So 50K, everything's going good, and then the seller is just squirrely. And
Mm.
these are the type of people you're going to be working with usually on these. Um, he's living in the house, if I remember right, and the mom had already passed away, but he was still living there. And for whatever reason, they didn't, foreclose on him yet. And so trying to get the title cleared, and there's some like lien on, and I was just like, and it kept dragging and dragging and dragging out. And so then my end buyer is like, dude, like I need this thing to close. So my 50K, then there was a septic issue. So then it went to like 35K or something, and then it went to 30K because it kept dragging out.
Mm.
And so, but I ultimately ended up, by the time I was just like, if it closes, it closes. And I ended up making 30K or something, I think, on that one. And I was like,
Still
thank
got it
God.
done.
Yeah. Because like I thought it was going to be a huge, it's still 30, yes, a lot, but it was like a lot higher. But the nature of the beast, it's not done until it's done. There's always something that can happen. And, you know, me having a team of 7, now what I focus on is walking through what are all the possible things that could go wrong and just saying, hey, let's just double check these things, make sure that they're doing everything on time, you know, on time, and then executing on the contract. And some of it is like, if you guys don't know this, there's a financing contingency in most properties. When you're the seller, you're wanting to get rid of contingencies as fast as possible.
Mhm.
So on the contingency for financing, you can do this. Usually it's 21 days default in Washington. Well, you can say, go back to the buyer and say, hey, normal process, we want you to waive the financing contingency because it's been 21 days. You should be already approved, got the appraisal, and now we're just, waiting to close. So, in past, it's just like, oh, it always closes. And then now what we're doing is we've had some people not close. So when it gets to the last day of that financing, we then send out saying, "Hey, notice that the financing that you're going to waive, the financing
Yeah,
because you already got to the 21." Because that gives you more leverage if they do back out, that you can ultimately keep the earnest money,
right.
right?
Are you going after bigger deals? Because I've heard and also felt that it's often the same amount of work that goes into it just based on what the process is, and if you go after higher value deals, a lot of times it's just more profit and less and the same amount of work. And I know Seattle's kinda like that anyways, you get these big deals, but are you turning down deals that aren't worth your time?
Not necessarily. I mean, when I'm in deal mode,
Yeah, it's just
say money comes in and I'm ready to buy, then I'm very focused on it. But there is times like, I'm in the process of looking at buying 6 properties from this one person that wants to do seller financing. So I'm like, okay, I haven't bought in the Midwest in 3 years or something, and this is in Milwaukee. So assuming she gets them on property management, stabilizes, I'm probably going to buy it. Now, normally I've been doing uh, everything has been 1 hour Seattle. I'm an agent, so I can use my license to help me get a better deal. But you know, I haven't been um, in saying no to small deals unless they have, like in this scenario, wants to sell them seller financing as a package. So it is in isolation. There would be like 150,000 to 175 each.
mhm,
But then when you add them together, okay, now we're like a million something, because she's got some that are over 200,000. So, now it's like, okay, it's a large enough chunk that I might move forward with it. The other thing is like the more deals you do, because I have like private money and trying to replace private money, because
yeah,
people with private money just want the payment, right?
right,
Well, I'm like, well, if I'm going to pay them back over here, I can go put it over here, buy more properties, and then keep them getting paid. The last thing you want to do is just give the money back to them, because then A, they're not making the payments, and then B, you're not using it, right? So like I always try to find something new. So when I I was under contract to sell the property. The buyer fell through on that, which I'm trying to get the earnest money back still, or to
Great.
keep it. When this property goes back under contract, which I'm hoping it's today, now I'm going to be shifting into, okay, I'm going to be paying back over 100,000 to a person that I borrowed money from. Instead of giving it back, I want to go find something else. My thought is to go put it in these six properties over here. Now, if those 6 properties, the timing or we don't come to terms, I got to find something else. So I'm usually either full on or full off in terms of
Mhm.
deal hunting. And
Yeah.
then, if you're talking to a lot of people like we, in terms of being an agent, stuff pops up.
Mhm.
So, but I'm not active unless I know I've got money coming in that I've got to move.
Yeah. 100%. Another thing I wanted to ask you about was your Facebook ads. How is that going?
So
Are you
Facebook
get
ads, I'm getting a ton of them, and I did. So there's since we last talked, they have 2 ads types now. There's one where it's just saying it's a just listed. It's trying to get people who click on it who are looking to buy. So it's focus on buyers. Then so that one's been, and I have it right here. Like I'm literally get 1 to 2 a day. Uh, yeah, I just got another one.
mm,
So 1 to 2 per day coming in. The conversion is super low. And in talking with the people that set it up, it's like, best case is 1 out of 10 that you're actually going to talk to. Right. And so it's just a matter of following up, following up, following up. But the cool thing is they're coming in. So then it's like at scale, they keep coming into the pipeline. You then set up market reports to keep engagement with them, and then you can start emailing them. So I think at some point they're going to start converting as
mhm.
you get this like critical mass of leads that come in.
Yeah.
So that's one route. The other one, I just started this. So when we get new listings, and I have a listing so for my property. So
Mhm.
I through my CRM, which is called Bull Trail, you can do online ads through there, and you can do like 1 week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, or X number of impressions. So that's I can't remember. Say it's like 5,000 impressions.
Yep.
So and it was like I think $180, and I'm pretty surprised on how well it's doing. So like as of yesterday, it was 6 days, I think. 6 days, we got 9 leads on a client's property. On mine, it was less, it was 2. But I'm like, okay, these just start adding up, and it gives us more people to talk to. In a perfect world, if that buyer that clicked on our listing says, "Hey, I want to buy it," they don't have an agent. Okay, now I can make money on the buy and the sell.
Mm.
Or they like, yeah, we really like that house, but we don't like whatever. If they don't have an agent, now they go into my buyer hopper, right?
Yeah.
Then I push it out to the team and then have the team follow up with them. So it's just anyway, and it's relatively low cost. The Facebook is set to $10 a day. So if
Yeah.
I'm getting one for $10 a day, now at some point I got to convert because like if you never convert, then why spend the money? But I think we're going to start converting on those. If it's $10 a day, I'll start ramping that up. The $10 a day is by design to get us used to the process and being converting. And the other one, it's for 1 week it's 70, and then the other one that's 3 week, I think it was 180. So I'm just going to do that for every new listing,
Yeah.
and it's just kind of cost of doing business. It helps bring buyers in, and potentially we can get both sides of the transaction, and it's good for relationships with the client because I don't think a lot of people are doing the online ads in terms of selling. Most people are doing they put it on the market, let Redfin and Zillow and all the other sites,
Right.
do the marketing. But to help separate, we've got to do stuff that other people aren't doing. So
Which Facebook is really good at finding exactly the person to see what you're saying because they
mm,
got the most data, probably more than because they know what that person ate for lunch. So they're like, this person is more likely to buy this type of house if they eat this type of food. Like that's kind of how granular I think Facebook gets.
Yeah, and because of this food they eat, they need Pepto-Bismol. So like no
Yeah.
Tums, whatever.
Yeah. I just ran my first Facebook ad for the school community, and
Nice.
it was really good results for page clicks, but I think my about page is not good enough because there was a lead magnet on there. It's like join and get this free budget spreadsheet, and it
Yep.
got 284 clicks. I spent a
Hey.
hundred and something dollars, and so the cost per click was like super low. But like nobody signed up. One person signed up, and they were like didn't have a profile, didn't say anything. So it was definitely a trial run, try to figure out what I'm doing wrong and what to do better. But it is. I was impressed by how many clicks it got because that just means I suck, not Facebook.
Yeah. Well, the beauty of it is now you iterate, right? So you could fix whatever you think is the issue. Run
Right.
another $50, $100, which is what's nice. You don't need to be spending hundreds of thousands. Like I'm not even in $200 yet in 2 weeks for Facebook.
Yeah, you
Uh,
got all that responses already. Yeah.
we're getting a lot. Yeah. Now the key is how do we train our processes to be able to convert them? So that's the key. But once we get that down, holy smokes, we are going
Start
to be
printing.
able to get so much business. I mean, it makes me like super pumped up knowing that it's the best and easiest way to scale because like they clicked on it and they want to do whatever you were selling, right? Whether it's a buy or on the sell side. So, I mean, at that point, you can just turn that dial on and increase the business.
Just yeah, increase based on capacity that you can handle. That's literally the formula. Just keep once it works, just keep turning it until you can take on more.
Oh, 100%. Yep.
Cool. All right, man. I kind of have to have a hard out today, but that was good. I think enjoyed the conversation again. So appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, no worries, man. Next week we should talk about VAs, virtual assistants.
Ooh, that's a good
I think
one.
by
Yeah.
this time next week I'll have my second one hired. So
I also botched that when I was doing wholesaling. I didn't work, crashed and burned, wasted money on VAs. So I would love to hear your take on all that.
yep,
Cool.
sounds good, man.
All
All
right.
right.